Hi Jonas, how are things looking on the injury front?
I think it's looking good. It's not much change since the game that we had against Watford. Steph Catley has returned to the squad again, so that's an addition. And other than that, hasn't been much change.
And Leah Williamson, how realistically close is she?
She's close. She's returned to full training. The game tomorrow will be a little bit too soon, but after that, I definitely think she's in contention to be in matchday squads.
Potentially for your next fixture?
Potentially, yes.
That's good news. And new deal you've announced as well for Manuela Zinsberger. How important for you is that you've sealed her services?
Yeah, very. I think Manu has been very good for us, both on the pitch with her footballing abilities, but also as a leader in the group and as a person setting really high standards both for herself and for the team, and really happy about having her as a part of the goalkeeping team going forward.
And you've been quite busy in this transfer window. How much more activity do you expect?
A little bit more, but like I said before, not much more incoming. I think it might be a little bit more on the outgoing, but we also have to consider that we have a good balance in the squad, and with a player like Leah Williamson returning from injury, and potentially Laura Wienreuter as well, coming in here in the spring, being able to return fully to play, that puts us in a very good situation.
And if you could, where would you strengthen?
It's a very hypothetical question, and like I said, we don't look at any specific position right now to go in and say like we need to go in here and strengthen, but as always, if the right situation would appear and it would align with our long-term visions, then it might obviously change, but at the moment, no.
Leah Wilty has been linked with a move away. Is she definitely staying?
Yeah, I don't have any other idea in my head. I don't think she has either.
Where do you think those rumours came from?
Obviously from people that wants attention, and I think that's obviously the problem with rumors, that when there is not a direct reliable source, you can't really do much with them. I would say that the Leah Welty that she could potentially be leaving definitely falls under the category of being with no truth whatsoever onto it, and it's a player we are very happy with. I think she's very happy with at the club as well. So and I understand it's hard for fans, supporters, when you're reading things like that, to understand if there is truth in it or not. But this one here, definitely not.
And this game won't be streamed. The supporters won't be able to watch it live because of a scheduling issue. How disappointing is that as the boss?
Of course, we're disappointed for people that wants to watch our game live and can't do it. It's a situation where when people were aware of the situation, that it would have been hard to move the game for match-going supporters as well, because people also make commitments and plan their schedule around that, and we're really proud of all the people coming to support us at Boreham Wood and the fantastic commitment that they have to their team. But of course, in the future, all stakeholders need to look at that to try and avoid these situations in the future.
The rule that no football can be broadcast between 2:45 and 5:15, do you think that needs to change? Is it a bit archaic now?
Me personally don't have any opinion on that. I think it's because you can view that rule from many different perspectives, and I don't think that's an easy answer if that's an yes or no. So and I think there will be persons much more competent and looking at that at a far more balanced view than I would do, that will have better input in that question.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Thanks, James. Tim?
Yeah, sure. I had a couple of questions about Manu. My first one is, I mean, you're the second coach that's really, really trusted Manu, and lots of other goalkeepers have come into the club in that time, and she's had lots of competition, but she's kind of maintained her status as a first choice. And I wondered what you thought that said about not just her quality, but her mentality to compete with and work with other goalkeepers.
Yeah, she's very competitive, and she works great as a team with our other goalkeepers as well. And I think you can see from her journey that she also picks up things from other goalkeepers. I think she has developed her play with her feet, also her longer range player, and longer distributing a lot since, for example, Sabrina came on. And that's obviously one of Sabrina's strengths, but I very much see that as a benefit when you work with partnerships with goalkeepers, that they can complement each other, but also for them to see at each other, to see like, okay, she has a real strength here, maybe that's something that I can develop as well, and seeing that so closely. And it obviously works the other way around with Sabrina and Manu as well. But I think that growth mindset from Manu, it definitely plays a big part in her being able to play so often and so well for us.
And how important is that for Manu going forward? Because she's 28, which for a goalkeeper, she's pre-prime, probably. And you look at a lot of people would say Mary Earps is maybe the best goalkeeper in the world at the moment. But if you look at where she was when she was 28, probably not quite where Manu is, and the amount of games Manu has behind her. So do you feel like this contract is also an investment in what you might get in the future?
I think you're spot on with the age perspective, and it differs so much from an outfield player, where you would say that the peak age usually would be between 24 and 28, and goalkeepers usually have their peak age after 30, and it's obviously such a big difference in age, and it comes from the experience you need to have in the position, from the decision making. And obviously I think that's so exciting with Manu, that we still believe, she believes as well, that she has the best of her footballing year in front of her.
And just the final one from me, you mentioned about more potential outgoings. I wondered what the situation is with Gio, and whether the plan is still for her to go out on loan in January.
Still needs game time. It's really important for her to develop and to take the next step. So yeah, that's definitely the plan.
Thanks.
Thank you.
Yes, Tim. Jamie.
Hey Jonas, how are you?
Fine, how are you?
Good, thanks. Just the one from me. On the Watford game, fans were very excited about seeing Viv and Alessia obviously in the starting lineup together. Obviously we saw Viv in that attacking midfield role and Alessia leading the line. Just a word on that partnership and what your hopes are. You've obviously got two extraordinary talents. How do you see them working together in the future?
Like I said after the game there, I think we have a lot of really interesting matchups, and if we start looking at the 9-10 relationship in the way that we play, and they can complement each other in many different ways, and it's important for us to obviously to try and find what is the best connection and the best relationship, depending on what game state and what opponents we're playing against. But if we speak specifically about Viv and Alessia, they're two very good technical players, both great game intelligence, should be able to use movements in space in a very efficient way together.
Good luck.
Thank you.
Thanks, Jamie. If we're all done in the room, we'll come to the call. Emma?
Hey Jonas, thanks for your time. Just kind of on the Zinsberger new contracts, there's naturally a lot of speculation now on social media that perhaps Marriott might not be heading to Arsenal. I know you won't comment on that, but are you able to say whether or not a search for a goalkeeper either this month or in the summer is still in your mind?
Like I said before, we're still very much looking for a short-term solution in the period around, over, and potentially a little bit after the Gold Cup, where we most likely will lose Sabrina D'Angelo to Canada. So that is not impacted at all by this year with Manuela Zinsberger, and then till the summer we're gonna look on a lot of different positions to see how we strengthen the squad the best possible way.
And just on Everton, we heard from Brian Sorensen this morning, and he was saying that his side won't change the way that they play, whether or not it's playing a top four side or a side lower down the table. I just wondered whether or not that's almost an advantage for someone like yourself, where you know that they're going to try and play out from the back and they're not going to change anything essentially.
No, I don't think that's an advantage, because essentially I believe very much in what Brian is trying to do, and that's about being, if you become really good in what you're trying to do, and you get a lot of repetition in doing that, I think that will give you the absolute best chance of succeeding. Then it's of course to finding that way that will combine with both your passion and your heart for the game, but also your brain and logical decision making, what's going to make the team most winning, and that's the path you as a coach need to lead the team on. But for the team to stay consistent and to be able to play sort of the same game week in, week out, I definitely think that has more advantages than disadvantages.
Thanks, Jonas. All the best.
Thank you.
Thanks, Emma. Rachel?
Hi, Jonas. Just one from me on Everton. I just wanted to know what you've made of their season so far. Obviously, they struggled a little bit with injuries in the first part of the season, but they seem to have gotten that strength back in January, and obviously played quite well against Aston Villa as well.
No, like Emma's been saying, that they've been consistent in the way that they've been playing. They haven't let short-term results influence too much on the belief in what they're trying to achieve as a group long-term. I think they've been, both the team and Brian has been very calm and methodological in the way that they have been handling that as well. And like you say, I think they've picked up some result here lately, but the reality of that has been that in some of the games earlier on in the season, they could have picked up results as well, but they didn't. So it's been good to see them having belief in the way they play, being long-term in their vision, and I think that's what paid off for them here now.